Hyperbolic V2. This is a super safe and effective natural anabolic. Not only is this product going to help you increase protein synthesis, which basically means muscle recovery and growth, it also may inhibit myostatin, which is a protein in your body that is known to inhibit muscle growth. This is a complete natural anabolic that works through multiple different pathways, has multiple trademarked ingredients. If you are a natural athlete looking for that edge, Hyperbolic V2 is what you need. Get yourself some.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pro Physique Code. It is it's almost Halloween. By the time you hear this, Halloween will be long done, but it'll be mid-November, or I guess early November. That's bonkers. So it's me, hello, and Coach Sarah and Coach Danika today. How are you ladies doing?
Good.
Doing good.
So I sprung this topic on them. Mostly, I'm going to admit, because I'm on my period and it's not been fun. And I've never had period, or I guess never is a bit dramatic, but I'm not somebody who normally has like periods to write home about, like they would normally be like 3 days long, regular tampon kind of girl, and like move on with my life, no cramps. And then now at the ripe age of 38, nearly 39, I've realized a rhythm that correlates with my fucked up marathon a month ago. And like, because I was on my period that day too, and I could not figure out why I felt so terrible. I thought maybe I was sick. And then this week, yesterday, I looked at Vic at one point and was like, I think I'm going to have a panic attack today. Like my body just felt very strange. And he was like, why? You seem fine. And I was like, not my brain. My body is going to have a panic attack. And I don't know how to explain it. And then what was funny, and I mean, this is probably TMI. So like, if you're a dude and you don't want to hear about this, this is your exit. Okay. This is the ramp.
But
You've
I
been
will
warned.
say all men have females in their life and they probably should listen in of how to navigate this shit.
Yes. So if you're somebody who's going to be like, ew, I don't want to hear that, you can go. If you're someone who's open to learning and wants to be supportive, especially through perimenopause, hi, you should hang out. My husband actually like downloaded a period app on his phone, and so he can like be prepared. But it never used to be that way.
I love that.
That just started within like the last 6 months. And it was because I think I'm having symptoms that are probably pretty damn close to PMDD. And I, like, as far as I got a prescription for an SSRI to try and help it, but then because I'm a weirdo, I never took it. I think I took it once and then I got afraid of it. And then I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. So, because I never use Reddit unless I'm looking for people's negative opinions. And then I go to Reddit because I'm like, oh, if they're mad, they're going to tell the truth. And I went there and looked up SSRI experiences, and there was just too many. And then I should have realized people only go to the internet to bitch. And so, no shade if you're on one. I truly hope it's working for you. But I mean, it's gotten to a point. I had shared to my stories last night, like it's exceptionally heavy. And I mean like clots, which is not normal for me unless I'm like postpartum. And I don't get the weight changes really, but very nauseous. Body feels exceptionally weird. And like, I am never the person who can't work out during a period. I literally canceled a client call that luckily she's a friend of mine. And so I was like, hi, I'd rather die during that time. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So like, it's weird. And then I posted it to my Instagram stories, and it was funny because a friend of mine was like, I want you to take this as like a joke, but it just sounds like you have a uterus. And that's what doctors would say to us. I was like, you're right. They would. They're just like, oh, are you still a woman? There you go. Like that's the diagnosis.
Congratulations. Like it's some sort of victory.
Right. So have you guys noticed any of this? Is there something I should pay attention to? Or like I told the girls that when we started this one, I wanted to call it Fuck 40. And we were going to use Danika having beat us to it ever so slightly. And I had said, because I didn't think Danika had seen many changes. And then she was like, hold the phone, Christina. And so then it got more. it got more interesting than I had planned on it being. So
My
so
God.
tell me, when I said that and I was like, but you've been fine, right? And like your eyes got big. What has changed? Because you turned 40 like 12 minutes ago, right? Like wasn't
No,
it just like 2 months?
no, in January I'm going to be
No, it
40.
wasn't.
Yeah,
You're gonna be
I'm
41.
about to turn 41.
Is anybody else in the 2025 time warp and has no
Oh my
idea what's
gosh.
going on?
Did not realize that. Holy crap.
Yeah,
Literally
I'm
thought it was yesterday. Okay, we have 10 months of 40-year-old experience. So
Yes. Let's dive in.
Let's dive in, huh? So I think it's so important for women to, one, be very in tuned with their body, starting, I would say, like when you really have a good understanding of your cycle. Like that's what, right? Like most females are averaging their start of their cycle anywhere from, which is kind of weird, but 12 to usually 14 years of age, right? So for parents who do have young girls, it's really important for them to have a good understanding of like what's happening and then to track your symptoms, your cycle, like the duration, the heaviness, the feelings, all the things. I wish I had done it more and not had just been like, I don't know, when I got into like my 30s, done it, right? So that's like one thing I really want people to take away, to just know more about your body. We say that all the time. Be your own investigator, be more in tuned. But usually, probably around like 37, 38 was when I started to have more night sweats. Like I was having a lot of night sweats. And I remember like an old coach being like, maybe your metabolism is just booming. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case.
things we tell ourselves.
I'd like to think that my furnace is
Burning calories while I'm sleeping. It's
burning
great.
calories. But night sweats and period changes, heaviness, clotting, which didn't make any sense to me because I was like, well, this is interesting. Do they have a super plus 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 plus? Like, what do I need to get now? Because I don't like this. And then heart palpitations and increased anxiety, where I'm a mindset coach. Like this is my jam. I help other people to navigate. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I should be perfect, but I'm saying I have a good awareness of like what cues anxiety, what triggers me, what anxiety feels like to me. But this was like different. This was it. And I want to say, Christina, I reached out to you during this and I said, how do you handle the workload that you're doing? I feel, oh, and also, have you ever had any panic attacks? And I remember asking you, because I was like, are there any other females out there? Because I don't know what's happening. I need help over here. So
Right.
that led me to experiencing, so heart palpitations, me getting like, what is happening? I've never felt these before. And then I started having these episodes where my entire body felt very, very weird. It didn't feel like myself. Like I didn't feel like myself. I wasn't cognitively there. I wasn't clear-minded. I would get tingling up the back of my head. And then all of a sudden, it felt like I was going to pass out. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm dying. Like I think I'm literally going to die now.
That was literally me yesterday. Like 100% everything you just said.
Yeah. And then what ends up happening, I'm like, okay, just take deep breaths. Like this will be okay. You're not going to pass out. My heart would race. I'd get a cold flush. I'd sweat a little bit. And then what wasn't fun is that I'm a type 1 diabetic. I do have health anxiety, which I've talked about before. So like that wasn't beneficial for me in my health anxiety. So I saw a cardiologist. I got all the exams done. I had an MRI. I had a CT scan. My brain was looked at. My heart was looked at because I was like, this is it. This is it. Like I'm not even going to make it to 40. everything cleared out fine. I did a stress test, like everything was fine. No one said anything about hormones. No one mentioned a damn thing about like, oh girl, you're like 38 years old. Changes are going to happen. I started getting acne. I've always had really good skin. But I started getting acne like around my hairline, around like my jawline, which didn't make sense to me. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm having panic attacks. I'm having panic attacks. And so I did a lot of research, and all those things are symptoms of perimenopause. And perimenopause can last anywhere from typically 10 to 12 years, and it can start as early as your early 30s. And all it is your body trying to figure out, are we still reproducing? Like, are we here to produce any babies? Are we not producing any babies? It's almost like dying us off in a way, but women are living longer. And so we experience this duration of time for longer. And we have this cascade of symptoms that could happen. And it's not until of recent that people started to talk about it. But hormone fluctuations can absolutely impact our resiliency too, and our ability to manage stress, whether that's external stress, internal stress. We typically are able to like adapt to stressors. But for women, we set up this beautiful life that we're living, and we have a good flow state, and then all of a sudden we can't be resilient in our flow state. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So that has been since 38 years old. I was able to navigate the panic attacks and had to remind myself of like the cues and the feelings that I was having and experiencing. Heart palpitations are something that still happen for me now and then, where I just have to be like, oh, that's nice, Perry. I didn't know that you were going to show up today, Perry. Fantastic. And I just have to have Perry sit next to me for a little bit. Night sweats are still happening. I will not spend thousands of dollars on a cooling pad because I won't. So my husband is like, this is disgusting. I'm like, well, I am detoxing. Like, let me just sort this out. But all that being said, like, I got to 40 after having those 2 years, and I was like, you know what? I just want to get 40s can be absolutely amazing because they're very eye-opening too. And what can I do to be proactive in this season of life that I'm in? Like, the reality is I am in perimenopause. Like, no one's going to escape it. Just because I lifted heavy weights and I was like a bikini competitor and like I'm not escaping perimenopause. All women will experience it. All women will hit that one day of menopause and then they're postmenopause. This is something that we are all going to experience. So I was like, okay, how could I best experience this? What do I need to do to support my body, become more in tuned, navigate the increase of anxiety, navigate the night sweats? Like, what do I need to do? And can I talk to more people so I don't feel like I'm crazy? Because I'm not crazy. Everyone is usually experiencing something.
Have you had any changes with anything yet, Sarah? Because you just turned 38, right? Or are you 39?
Yeah. No, I'm 38. And so
Okay.
no, thankfully not yet, because I'm on the other side of it, as it were, of you guys. We're actually trying to get pregnant. And so,
God,
but I'm
yeah.
I'm also aware like that I could hit perimenopause at certain points. Like I came off birth control, and I've gone through that sort of like process of trying to reacclimate to like normalcy as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. That's been a wild ride as well, just with the more mood swings. I feel a little bit less emotionally stable some days versus others. Definitely experiencing some more like hunger cues, random stuff, it's like really weird. And so this will be like almost, I'm like 2 months post off birth control. And so things are starting to become more normalized, but that first month, man, was wild. And so, but then I'm also aware, like, hey, it could start happening to me at some point, and so I'm actually going to dive deeper actually next month into my own blood work and see where my hormones are, see where my, T4, T3, all of them are. And at this point, now that I'm off of it, and see what we need to do if there is, possibilities of us, getting pregnant where I'm at, and I know that sometimes too, it's tied to maybe genetics, maybe when you start experiencing these symptoms. So like when did your mom go through it? When did your grandmother go through it? When did they start experiencing stuff? And I know technology has changed and medicine has changed over those years, but I know my mom didn't really start experiencing it until later in life. And so I'm hoping that, maybe I do get lucky and that we do get pregnant in the next year or so. But it's interesting to hear your experiences as far as just like how it slowly comes on, but then it's like, oh man, we're like in it and everything like that as well, and how many other things that I didn't even think of. Like I didn't know about like the tingling or like feeling like you're gonna pass out or those kind of symptoms you guys have mentioned. So I'm like, that's news to me, and again, a good learning experience for me too.
It's wild. The back of the head thing. It is so funny that you brought that up because it literally, for me, it almost feels like someone's like touching me, and it'll just be like weird. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, "Ugh, I'm gonna pass out." Or a hot flash is coming. And then I'm instantly pissed off. And like for somebody who's cold, like I literally have a space heater underneath my desk right now running. And like I did that all summer long. That's been the hardest part for me. And like I was talking to my husband about it this morning because I was like, I mean, he loves the alternating weather and everything. Sorry, here comes my 3-year-old. Oh my gosh, with an entire 3-pound bag of apples. I guess it could be worse. She could have chosen Halloween candy. Go downstairs. Delaney will be here any second. Mom life. So I forgot what I was talking about.
Temperature regulation.
Temperature. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's been the hardest one for me, for like being somebody who also struggles with like anxiety and stuff like that, because it's the switching temperatures that gets me instantly from like a normal person to like the red guy from Inside Out. Anger like that, I am instantly want to murder everybody. Like, and it's the in and out. And so even just living in Colorado, like today I dropped the kids off and it was 28 degrees when they went into school. And that alone, like if I have to go from like, I'm in my jacket, it's cold outside, I'm inside, the heater is running, like, and like the changes of that already get to me. And then you add on when I can't control it. And like the other day we were at Riker's basketball game and I was like, oh my God, because like what was coming on and I had layers on and I'm like, I can't just like strip. And so that's been weird. The heavy periods, I mean, it literally, like this week has been to the point, like when I go to put a tampon in, like clots are like in the applicator. And it's like, that can't be right. And my blood work, the only thing that comes back weird is my testosterone. Or like not anymore. I don't know if I've said it on here, but I do testosterone injections 3 times a week. It's like, I never remember how much it is, but Danika knows it's 3 tiny lines on an insulin needle. And so a bitty amount. And that was truly a game changer for me when I started that. So at that point in things, I was expecting Hashimoto's or like something along the lines of that based off of symptoms when I got my blood work done. And then I didn't go off of just one test. I had like 2.5 years of blood work that always came back roughly the same. I am shit at vitamin D. I'm usually dehydrated, and I would have low T to the, it was a 3. Now I always forget if it's the T3, the T4, the free or whatever. The one that is supposed to be between like 15 and 50, I never exceeded the number 3. And so then it was like, but my estrogen, progesterone, all of the other stuff was fine. And so we decided just to start there. And I've said before, like I responded to that the way I would have expected an antidepressant. Like, it wasn't like all of a sudden I was like, whoa, I'm so strong. And like that kind of stuff. I didn't want to stab my husband as much as I wanted to before, like it was little things. Like I felt that resiliency come back a little bit, where like I used to feel like I could handle shit. And then for a while I felt like I couldn't. Now, I don't know. it could be that I'm really shitty at injections 3 times a week, that like I feel like those benefits have kind of fallen back. And I think a lot of that is because like I was supposed to have it yesterday and I did my injection today, like before we started, because I was like, fuck. And like half the time I only do 2 instead of 3. And it's just 3 times a week is hard. And so it's funny because like I feel like when you talk about hormones and women and menopause and all of that, the only thing people talk about is estrogen. Like that's the main one. And that's not even half the story.
No, it's not. And I think that people maybe even discount the effect that a little tiny bit, like you mentioned, like not even that much of a little bit of testosterone can get you from, suboptimal to more optimal and things like that. And that little bit clearly made all the difference for you. That's awesome.
And I come back like I mean, I'm slightly higher than normal range, but not to where they're like, oh, we're concerned and I'm not like a man all of a sudden with like crazy numbers. It's like just enough. And I do blood work every other month, if I remember to do it at the right time. Then maybe it's every 3 months. But like, so what did you end up doing anything, Danica, or is that like a special dance because of type 1? Like, does that affect anything for you?
Well, no, it wouldn't. I feel like they would just treat me like they would just consider that, but they wouldn't do anything special. But I wanted to say really quick, temperature regulation is something that I've noticed too, so much so that like my temperature will actually, it's like my thermostat is off. Like my thermostat doesn't know where it's supposed to go. So like it'll be cold outside and my thermostat is like, I don't know if we're supposed to warm up. And I'm like, you're supposed to warm up though. Like we should probably warm up. And it stays, I've done my like temperature and it's at 96 degrees. And I'm like, this is not okay. I feel like my insides are cold. Like my brain is cold. My heart is cold. It feels internally cold. Cold flashes are something that happen too for women during perimenopause. So you can have hot flashes, cold flashes, like your thermostat is like broken. It needs to like be clicked on or something. Like it's not okay. So I feel you there, but it's wild. I talked to my OBGYN. I've talked to her about this for 3 years now. Like, hey, just so you know, I'm not about to just like suck it up and trudge through it. Like I will not interested in that. I do not want to be miserable. I work with a lot of female clients. Like I hear all the things. I'm not interested. I'm also not of that unfortunate generation that had that like fear instilled in them that estrogen is like this horrible thing. It is a beautiful protective hormone and we need estrogen. So shame on that study and shame on not reviewing the results of it anyways. But I think my OBG was like, let's just explore it when you need to. That being said, I just had a call on Tuesday with MIDI Health because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to log on and see what happens. Like, how long will it take to get on a call? The next day, I was on a call. So Monday, I looked. Tuesday, I had a call in the morning. She talked to me for, you do like
Wait, Danica, we can't hear you. Oh, there you go.
Am I still here?
Oh,
no?
we had a
You're
weird.
lagging a little bit.
Okay, I'll shut up and then now you talk and let's see if it goes at the right time.
Is it working?
Yes. Okay, that was weird. Sorry, guys. If you're watching YouTube, we had a weird gap, but everything else is fine.
But MIDI Health, so they work specifically with females for perimenopause, postmenopause, and I had a call. I did a pre-consultation like form that I had to fill out. She talked to me for 5 minutes. Granted, my husband was like, just to remind you, you know a lot about this stuff, so I feel like I knew what I wanted. I like went in, I knew all the things. Like I didn't have questions. Like I've done so much research on this because I'm trying to figure my own stuff out and my client stuff too. So she was like, okay, so what pharmacy do you want me to send progesterone and estradiol to? And I was like, what? Like, how does this happen? She's like, yeah, we'll send it right over. I have not gotten it. This just happened Tuesday, and I'm going to test my hormones. She's doing a comprehensive hormone panel on day 21. But the interesting thing is, so she said, we really want to know what your progesterone is on day 21. It should be really high. If it's really low, then what we want to try to do is just mimic. Progesterone is amazing too, because that would be something that would be helping with your mood swings. It's going to help with your sleep, your resiliency a little bit more. But I said to her, what is interesting, when I am like day 21, I'm actually, and this will be good for other people to hear, our listeners to hear, I actually feel my worst when I'm during that ovulation phase, right? When I'm after ovulation, I feel my best. Like when I'm done I'm done ovulating and I'm good to go. Day 21, I feel fantastic. So I was like, I don't know if you want to test me then, unless you want to mimic those hormones on a daily. I'd love to be there. Like you just ride me in. So she was like, oh, that's interesting. Some people they do not have that calming effect with progesterone. They actually are heightened anxiety, more bloating, more water retention, more sluggish, lethargy. Their mental capacity is kind of limited. Their clarity is off. So I said, yeah, I think I'm a little bit more sensitive to progesterone. I think I'm that small population that does not feel any bit of like ravenous to attack my husband when I'm ovulating. I want nothing to do with anybody. Please don't touch me or look at me. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because I think back to when I was pregnant with Ben and Claire, so number 3 and number 4. My first 2 were premature. So like Riker was very premature. Well, not very. He was 33 weeks. My water broke at 32. We were able to keep him in for a week, and then I had him at 33. Everything was fine. And then Cora came. I went into labor the day I hit 36 weeks, and I was supposed to have a home birth with her. I just had to make it to 37. Literally had the midwives, who I didn't actually like enjoy that much. They were at the house for our 36-week appointment, and my doula was there, who I had with Riker. And the whole time, she was a previous L&D nurse. She was watching me because I didn't tell anybody I was in labor, because I was like, no, like she stays in for one more week. And then as soon as the midwives left, she was like, so I'll see you in a couple of hours when you let those happen. I was like, yes. And like literally had Cora like 3 hours later. So because they came early, I was part of the group of people that they did the McKenna shots on. And what's real fun is that this week I got an email letting me know that I was invited to be a part of a class action lawsuit because, apparently, have you guys seen that YouTube video with the little boy who says apparently really funny? Okay. If anyone's listening and you know what I'm talking about, I expect you to comment. I'll send it to both of you later. So I would do this shot once a week, and it was just progesterone. And the idea behind it was that it was going to help me stay pregnant, right? Now, apparently when it got approved for that, it was on like I can't think of the word, like temporary approval. They were allowing it to happen because there was a study somewhere else, I can't remember where it was, that had said it was okay. So then the FDA was like, cool, you can do it. Well, apparently after all that time, they had to do a second test while I was using it. And it came back like, who knows, was like kind of the vibe about it. Like, who knows if it works. Now, what I have to say about that is that Ben was delivered full term, and Claire, I went post term. Like I went to 42 and 4. And so and I did shots with both of them. So like maybe it doesn't work for some people. It did keep me pregnant. Maybe it was just that I was older. Who fucking knows why it worked? It did work for me, maybe. But I could feel when I needed my shot and how I felt afterwards. And it was not a good experience. Like, I felt so shitty. And so, like, if my progesterone had been off and they were like, we're going to want you to supplement, I almost want, like, for me, I think I would have been like, I don't like that. And I don't know if I want to, because it was like bloating. And I remember it, but it would be bloating going into it. Like, I would feel like shit going into the shot. And then once I got it, so maybe it was helping me. But before I had those, I never had the weaning off feeling almost. And so that was super strange. And like, and now they've pulled it. And I mean, that's science, right? Like, that we try things, we wait a while, and then we say, ooh, never mind. And then we change it and we make new decisions. So, like, no shade towards science or whatever. I'm glad they figured it out. But it is so interesting the way that these things work, because I think there's just not a lot of research done. Like, because even with a lot of our hormones, with like the testosterone and things like that, I still see things from doctors where they're like, women absolutely do not need that and should not be doing these things. And it's like, but like, we do make it. That means it is necessary, like, to that normal extent.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I'm so happy that people are talking more and more and more. And Christina, you and I have talked about this, but like, perimenopause is not something that they're like, huh? What? What is that? Like, I feel like it's becoming more well known now. And women are talking more about it, and women are becoming more aware of it, educated on it. But fear is something that's really, really hard. I mean, let's face it, if people have heard that carbs make you fat, then like, for some reason that fear is like, meh, I'm just gonna stay right here. And no matter how hard you try to like educate clients or educate people, they're like, that's nice. Thank you so much for all of the studies and like the clinical data that you're proving to me, but I'm just going to keep the fear right here. But the same has happened with estrogen. Like, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is a pretty awesome thing. And if we are producing it, why would it be a bad thing again? And also, we understand like the importance of all of those hormones: progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, estradiol. Like, we understand the importance of it. Why would we want our body to be rid of it? Like, there's no good that comes from ridding of all those hormones at all. And people, even if you just want to look at when people's hormones are low. So say, for our listeners, if they've ever experienced lack of a cycle or losing their cycle, right? Or have gone into the doctors and like, they haven't had a cycle for an extended period of time and their estrogen is really low, they usually will educate you on the negative impacts of having low estrogen, right? So then what makes it okay when we like go through perimenopause and then into postmenopause? We're just supposed to be okay? Like, no, then we become really frail, and like, that increases risks of a lot of things. Yeah, I want to hear like your thoughts on that. But, and I don't remind me that I want to talk about what I have learned going into my 40s, like what is important too, now that I'm like in my 40s.
The other thing I want to make sure we talk about too, just because I feel like it'll help people maybe feel better, right, about all of this kind of stuff, is that I've been on testosterone since March. I'm 90% sure of this year. It might have been last year. Who knows? Apparently I'm in a time warp and I don't know how much time is passing anymore. One of these Marches, I'm pretty sure it was this one. And I think a lot of people get nervous that like your voice is going to change or like something's going to happen. I've been here talking to you each week, and like, I mean, I haven't noticed. I think I still sound like a fucking chipmunk. So like, I probably could have used, like a quarter of an octave down. And so like, I didn't have any problems there. And then the other thing I wanted you to talk about, Danika, as you go through that, like what you're about to dive into and everything, is that even as I've had the changes going into perimenopause. Like my main ones have been, I feel like the increased anxiety and then the night sweats, hot flashes. Like mine have been mostly temperature focused and then a little bit of energy. And like it's there, the issues, but as long as I'm locked in, and I know, I think it was no, I didn't record last week. Whenever we talked and I was like, I'm not next year going to plan for any races. I'm a liar, because if I don't have something in front of me, it's really hard for me, like most people, to put fitness first, like in this phase of life. And that's the giant mistake that I think a lot of people see, is that they think, oh, well, it's perimenopause's fault that I have no energy to go work out. It's perimenopause's fault that I don't have time and things like that. No, I decided, with all the shit we have going on, that we should sign Riker up for 4 days a week of 2-hour practice at the same time as his siblings practice. I fucked that up. I booked all this others. I chose new hobby. You know, like I decided my world needed to be gigantic at the same time all of these things were happening. And so I feel crushed and overwhelmed and all of that stuff. And then that's where, you know, my job supports me going to the gym. I can tell you guys, I'm at the gym, I'll talk to you later. And everyone we work with is like, oh, I'll leave you alone, talk to you in 2 hours, you know? And so we get the benefit of that. But I think for women who aren't in, you know, partnerships and work opportunities and like things like that, where everybody in your circle supports you being in shape and using time for that, that it gets a lot harder. And so like we've watched Danika over the last couple of years go through this and turn 40 and be nearly 41. And you know what hasn't changed? Her fucking physique. Like
Exactly.
that didn't shift. Her body fat percentage hadn't. And, you know, I get a little bit of an inside scoop into her macros. Am I allowed to say that? Is that okay? I feel like we've talked about it before.
Yeah,
I'm coaching Danika. And so it's been a while now. I don't know how many check-ins deep we are, but it's been like many, many months.
Yeah, you've been able to see how even with starting perimenopause that I've been able to make progress.
Oh, fat loss, we've done it as somebody who's exceptionally lean and balancing type 1. I mean, it's been a really like fun learning experience for me, right? And we've played with adding running, we've had vacations, all of this stuff. And at no point did I find your body to be particularly stubborn or anything like that. So that's my soapbox. I wanted to make sure everyone knew that, like that doesn't have to be a part of it. I think it is a part for a lot of people because they don't necessarily have the built-in like bumpers that we do that keep us on track.
Yeah, I think it's the first thing to go for a lot of people when they start to get a little bit older, or, you know, some of my clients that I've trained that are like postpartum kids and things like that as well. They're so busy, and you guys are both moms and proving that you're still busy as hell and you're still making time for yourselves. And I think that is important to I still remind my clients that are maybe in, you know, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, to still make time for themselves. I feel like, and not use, you know, the energy or the lack thereof or how you're feeling that day as the excuse. By all means, yes, take an extra rest day. If you're clotting, if you're doing all those things, obviously, yes, you need to rest your body. But I ask my clients a question as far as like, hey, if you're laying in bed and it's time to get out of bed, are you going to beat the lazy today? Are you going to beat the lazy, or are you taking a rest day because of these actual things that are going on in your body in turn, like listening to your body? We teach our clients how to do that kind of stuff. But there is a point, I think there's a balance to that, as far as like, you know, proving to yourself that you can do it. You can do it tired. You can do it when you're not feeling great and stuff like that, because there are going to be days upon days. And it sounds like, you know, what I have ahead of me is, I'm like, oh shit.
We're
like this is like scaring the shit out of me right now. It's like, oh God.
Oh man.
It's not, everyone experiences it differently, right?
Yeah.
Like some people just have itchy ears, like, and that's like the one thing that they're experiencing. And that's like a legitimate like symptom of perimenopause. Some people have frozen shoulder. Some people like, yeah, it's all different what people are experiencing. Like a lot of bloat. I feel like you would typically hear hot flashes, night sweats, increased anxiety, inability to emotionally regulate as effectively as you once were able to. So like those short bursts of like, what are you doing? And then you're like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Like, I don't remember when I,
Crazy. And you're
You
like,
feel-
monster, stop it.
yeah,
Like, you know, as it's coming out, shut up.
yes,
You know?
yes. Oh my gosh, yes. But going, I think too, what's really important, and all women know this anyways, but estrogen also helps us to support like bone density, right? So if that is decreasing, what can we do to like support our body, right? Lift heavy shit. Like continue to like start lifting heavy shit now and can it very obviously safely and with good guidance and smart, but lift weights, like move your body, lift weights, feed your body, because you will, all of us, to include men, are going to be losing muscle as we age. So setting ourselves up to be in a really good place. So I like to think of like, okay, if this is before perimenopause hitting, if I'm able to build the most muscle that I possibly can, or the strongest bones that I possibly can, could I do it so that way I have even more to like lose, kind of thing, right? Like I set myself up really nicely. That's not to say that you can still build bone. We can actually still build bone. Like you can still build muscle. You're not going to be able to build it as much or as fast as maybe in your 20s, right? Like that's when our hormones are like primed for that stuff, right? So being able to recognize like this in this season of life, setting yourself up really nicely to support the body that you're in and the changing body that you have. Because as much as we'd like to say that we can stay in our 20s forever, it's just not going to happen. And that's okay. That's a beautiful thing. What a great thing to be able to evolve and to change, right? You get stronger, you get better at things, you become more resilient if you want to. Another thing that I think has been game changing for me, and I still really have to work on it, is being more strategic, like realistically strategic in my approach to things. So before, I would say maybe my early 30s, even up to my early 30s, I could just like do it all. Like I really felt like I could do it all. I could run boot camps and participate in my boot camps, go and do some hot yoga with a friend, then go lift heavy and have a full workload and be fitness director. Like I could just do it all. And my body was like, I'm fine. Like now, not so much. Like I can't even imagine myself doing that now. One, it'd be idiotic. Two, I would have a longer recovery period and my body would be like, no. You're not moving today, actually. You're just going to stay bedridden. But being more strategic and graceful about it and realistic about my approach to fitness, right? So taking it slow and steady, incorporating more mobility. I know you love that stuff, Sarah. But incorporating more of a warm up, more of a cool down. Like, what am I actually doing to support the body that I'm in my 40s? I still am increasing weight load. I'm getting stronger. I'm still able to hit fitness goals that I have. I just strategize a little bit better, right? Like I don't push myself so hard. I'm smarter. Like I train smarter because I also know that as a female, I'm gonna have periods in my month where my hormones are not there. Like they're just not going to be there, right? So I just need to be able to kind of embrace that. And that's where obviously hormone replacement therapy is a beautiful thing and it's talked about. And I think that that's something that I would explore. But lifting heavy now I see how important that is for my bones, and jumping. Like that's something that I've incorporated more. So like being able to just have one for our lymphatic system, which I think is beautiful, but also our ability to jump up and down and have force like come against us, and us being able to accept that force. It helps our bones, and I'm sure our fast twitch muscle fibers as well. But and one more thing, incorporating sprint intervals. So that in whatever capacity you want to. So whether that's running outside, doing sprint intervals, but having a duration of time where I'm increasing my heart rate, and I'm going to whatever your max heart rate is, not for a long extended period of time, but I am building that resiliency from like the cardio that I'm choosing, so that my body knows that it also is resilient, so that when there are stressors in life, I actually built and supported that resiliency through my cardio, and my body is like, oh yeah, we've done this before. Our heart rate goes up and then it comes back down. And like, this is something that we know we can do, instead of riding fight or flight like all the time and not being very resilient or not knowing what the hell to do when heart rate gets elevated through external stressors.
Do you know did you hear the podcast with the she wasn't an OB. She's an orthopedic surgeon is what it is. Oh, I was Googling while you were talking. There's a podcast that Dr. Vonda Wright. I think
she's awesome. Does she wear like glasses and dark hair?
Dark hair?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's awesome.
And I forget who it was. Was it Mel Robbins? Yes, it was Mel Robbins. Because when she asked Mel Robbins like what she does for cardio or whatever, she was like, I park at the back of the grocery store parking lot. Like that was what she's working on. She's like, I get my steps. And she was like, no, like go on the treadmill and you're going to set it to like 12 miles per hour for 20 seconds and do that. And what she was talking about there, go away. My 3-year-old just came in and took my Diet Coke. Shoo. Don't worry, I monitor. She doesn't drink it all day. But she was talking about how, as an ortho who is in her 50s and has seen all of these changes, that she has women who come in and at like 70 are falling and breaking a hip. And then that's a death sentence, because then they're in the hospital, they get an infection, they don't have the ability to fight it. They're done. Whether or not it's like immediately, or it's okay, well, in 5 years, you know, they lived a shitty 5 years in pain and like couldn't get ahead of it. And I think I've said this on here before, but like after seeing my grandparents go through the final years of their lives, and they passed a couple years ago, and they were not old. Like, I mean, they were old. They were like in their early 80s, I think. Like, I forget how old they were when they passed, but they were somewhere between like 79 and like 83, the two of them. And to me, like my great grandmother passed at 97, and that woman lived alone and was hanging Christmas lights until like 6 months before she died. And then it was just like, she went to the doctor one day and they were like, she's full up of cancer, whole thing, not even worth treating, just let her go. And like, that was essentially like, she was like, I don't want to deal with that shit. And she died 6 months later. Like, if anything, that's how I want to go out, like up until the last minute. And so then I watched my grandparents go through stuff where it was like, okay, well, you have to do PT, you got to do OT, and like all of this different stuff. And for them, they were like, I'm too old, fuck it, and didn't, and essentially rotted to death in their chairs. And it was because they didn't want to. Like, that was as simple as it was. They were just being ornery, like, you know. And so then I look at it now, I see my mom, who had me when she was young. She's not old. She's 20 years older than I am. And so she just turned 59, I want to say. But she's already had knees replaced, talking about a hip and like all this different stuff. I think there is a hint of genetics there because her brothers have had shit done and everything too. But so then looking at all of that picture, for me, it was a big wake up call of like, fuck that. Like, I refuse. And I mean, looking back to like high school and stuff, and I think about my mom at my age, she was already dealing with a lot of those problems that grew into big surgeries and things like that. So like her feet already made it too painful to go do Disney days, or her knees made it so that she was no longer skiing, and like stuff that she enjoyed, and that got taken away. And so then I look at who I want to be when I'm 59. Like, I fully expect to still be running the Colfax Marathon every year. I want to be like throwing grandchildren around and like doing stuff with them. And I think it's really easy for a lot of women when we are caught up in basketball games and cheer practices and we're running around, we got all this shit going, and like, listen, we have ordered food out more times than we probably should, and like things like that, but trying to balance all of that. And then the way I look at perimenopause and the changes that happen is like, oh, Sarah just disappeared. Bye, Sarah. She'll be back. You guys probably didn't even notice. Hopefully she just disappeared. What I think of it as is like you're on a treadmill and you were walking at a flat road. That was before the changes happened. Then, this sweet girl got herself a cup and just poured a little bit into it and brought me back the rest of my Diet Coke. What a good, responsible baby she is. Sarah just texted me. She said, dipped out. Sorry. Great. Gotta finish packing. Now listen, she does have to leave. She has a vacation planned, but I love that. It's like you're on the treadmill and you were at a flat road and then you add incline. And so, when it first started and your sleep's not good and you're getting the hot flashes, like, okay, now you're at like a 1% incline. It's a little bit harder. You can keep the pace going. And then all of a sudden something else changes. Now you're at a 3% incline. You're a little sweaty. You're noticing the effort that it's taking. It's not impossible. You didn't fall off a cliff or something, but like, it's going a little bit harder. And so when we take all of this into account with things like the gym, and you had mentioned like you're still hitting PRs, you're still pushing for strength and stuff like that. I just think it's not being taken seriously enough how fucking important that is, and that it is not something you can mess around with. And so like going in and doing the 15-pound dumbbells and stuff like that, this is going to sound dramatic. Don't hate me when I say this. You're fucking wasting your time. Like, it's great you're getting movement that day, and if that's all I can ask for, then like, thank you. And yes, I applaud you. However, if you are somebody who has been training for quite some time and you've kind of settled there, we're not going to move the needle with that shit anymore, because you have to take into account too the cumulative effect of your life and what your body has learned you are capable of, what it expects for what it wants to see change and things like that. So like, if you've started perimenopause or you've settled into it, and you're hanging out here and you want to see your body change, we cannot dilly-dally. There is no time. Like, you need to pick up some heavy shit. You should be a little bit nervous a couple times a week when you go to lift. And if you don't have time, then you get better at planning. And I don't mean build the time into your days a million times throughout the week. I am happy with my physique. I feel no reason to change it. Are there times I wish my glutes had more muscle as opposed to body fat? Yes. 'Tis my genetics. There's not a lot else I can do about it, right? I know my butt is strong and it doesn't really need to get any bigger. I just wish the composition of it would shift a hint. But outside of that, I don't really feel the need to change my physique that much. I'm happy with it. But to maintain that has gotten harder. And like, so then when I go in, I put in an outrageous amount of effort 1 or 2 times a week. Like, and that is enough for me to check that box and hang where I am. But, and part of why I don't want to make big adjustments to my physique, and why like competing, especially bikini, I'm like, count me out with the way that they're looking with, and the amount of muscle and everything, I would have to put in so much fucking work. And when I look at the rest of my life, I am not willing to pull from those areas to give to bodybuilding anymore. And so then the most important thing for me has become the bone density, the maintenance of my current physique, and things like that. And then it doesn't have to be so crushing in like, okay, so I had a call with a client yesterday. And honestly, Danica, I might shoot her your info because so she's a previous competitor. She's 46. She's competed within the last handful of years, but it's been like 2 or 3. And we were talking about how she's trying to balance adult children, grandchildren, work, the gym, and all of this. And she is still she's like, it's been 2 months and I haven't really seen any change in my physique. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to hold your hand while I say this. And like, we're not dieting, right? We're in like a maintenance phase, but she was looking for muscle changes over the course of those 2 months. And I was like, what I'm about to say, I really want it to be comforting, but it's going to come out really shitty. Your body is what it's going to be. And I was like, it's like 95% of it. Like, so unless she is to gain or lose 15 plus pounds for the most part in a calendar year, outside of doing that, I was like, I don't think you're going to see changes that you can just see in a picture. Like, so you might know these numbers better, Danica, if you've seen them in your research and stuff. But like the last time I had looked, for women like us who have been training for many, many years and at our age and our experience level, we are lucky if the stars align and everything is perfect, we're going to put on somewhere between like 2 to 6 ounces of muscle per month, right? Which even that, I want to call bullshit. Like 6 ounces, it seems like a lot to me in that instance. And so let's even give it that much. If we say 6 months and you don't diet at all for an entire 12 months, which for a lot of people is like, okay, let's see, that comes out to where it's 72 ounces and that's 4.5 pounds. If the fucking stars align and you promise to eat all your food, you're lifting like an absolute maniac, you're sleeping like your job depends on it, like you are operating like an IFBB pro. Maybe you put on 4.5 pounds of muscle that year. And if you're a trained woman, I mean, that's going to be fucking wild. Like you will look different. Yeah. But you're not going to see 12 ounces over the course of 2 months. Like you're not going to look in the pictures and be like, there it is. So how do you, I had told her, I was like, let's settle into some different goals, the PRs, like things like that. They're supporting your goal of adding more muscle, but let's stop trying to just look for that, because I think that can be heartbreaking. And so how do you help people kind of navigate that I promise it's working kind of phase?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients, especially my female clients that like come to me with aesthetic goals, but I also am like very much aware. I know that there are other goals that need to be accomplished or considered, but I want them to figure it out on their own. So I will say to them, listen, we need to shift what we're focusing on so much, because the whole like not meeting these expectations or not meeting these goals are not fostering a healthy mindset for us to even achieve these goals, because you're just feeling discouraged all the time. So could we aim to really work on our sleep? Could we aim to really work on our strength? Like, when was the last time that you did a pull-up? When was the last, like, how many push-ups can you do? All of that stuff, you still want to, like, the goals of aesthetics, you still got to work out, you still got to sleep. We're just building into the variables that are going to get you to the aesthetics. We're just building goals inside of those that you probably will notice the progression in those before you notice the aesthetic stuff. So let's focus on the things that we will see progress a little bit faster, because then once we shift focus and bring this more positive energy into it, it won't be every check-in you send in, my physique isn't changing. My physique isn't changing, because it probably is changing. It's just so small that you're not seeing it, right? I need you to zoom out for a second, take that, like that will happen. but I need you to focus on the things that we're going to see probably some changes. You're going to see pretty significant changes in your overall energy when your sleep hygiene is in a good place, right? Like when you are hydrating really well, you're probably going to tell me like, wow, like I added those electrolytes that you wanted me to add in, and I actually am hydrating really well, and I feel less brain fog. Like you're going to notice that pretty fast. Like I would say with like one good night's sleep, you notice that shit. So I like to have them set goals where I know that the change will happen much sooner. And then in 4 weeks after looking at those goals, we can reflect back on the aesthetic goals, and I can put a side by side and be like, oh, just remember that goal that we set aesthetically too? I wanted to show you the changes that have been happening from a 4-week difference.
The hard part is that if you had said, like, if somebody had told me that I would be saying at 38, like, I'm no longer interested in bodybuilding and I'm not interested in changing that much or anything, and I'm just focused on longevity. If you had told that to 32-year-old Christina, she would have laughed in your face and been like, okay. Like, because I mean, I remember being more in that place of like, tell me to eat dirt and I'll eat dirt if it means I've got shredded abs, you know? And then now, like the funny part, actually, I've been telling Vic, like, and I mean, I'm at like 1900 calories like most days. I've been like on or off with tracking. I'm back in those phases where I can't decide what I want to do with my life. So I kind of let things fall to the wayside. But what's funny is even then, like I put a reel out today or yesterday or something that was like, I've been out of sorts and I'm not doing things the way I'm supposed to. But like, then I thought about, I'm like, well, I did go to the gym on Tuesday. Today's Thursday. Like, I'm not completely fucked. Like, I went and got something done. I ran today. Like, I have been hitting my protein. So there are like little things that I think that get kind of discounted as like not that important. And like, you know, when we do Facebook Lives and stuff, there's always questions about like the minutia. The like, but how many carbs exactly should I be having in that post-workout meal? Or like, even, you know, supplements or like other stuff. And then I feel bad when I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. And like, and it's because for a vast majority of stuff, it's the snowball effect of all of those other things, but then doing it a vast majority of the year. Right. And that I would say with that, it's more about getting, you know, like 4 or 5 out of the 7 days routinely, as opposed to having 3 perfect months and then 1 that's fucked and then 3 perfect months and like that kind of thing. And so going back to the whole idea of like the consistently good as opposed to occasionally great is what pays off. Because if you even look at like my year of training with this, when I have these big races, I usually have about a month like afterwards where like competitors will understand like that feeling of post-show blues. But when it comes to like a race, you don't get judges' feedback at the end. It's just be faster next time. Right? So like, or, you know, do better fueling or whatever. So the changes are a little bit different. But I know like I have clients who are afraid to take a long weekend off from the gym because they think it's going to change things. And it's like, well, no, like if the rest of your year has been in a wonderful place, then you're probably fine. I can get away with taking off that month of stuff. Or like, if I look at this year, I've lifted like 1 to 2 times per week for basically 12 months. And my physique, did you just hit your head? My 3-year-old just hit her head on my desk. Like, out of nowhere. You know, you can build into this place where it isn't so stressful, where it isn't so up or down, but it takes the accumulation of all of that time. And so like, if you're hearing a lot of this stuff and you're like, well, I've been lifting for 18 months, the fuck, when is this going to show up? Like, we're talking about having like years upon years. Like, I've been very focused on this since I was 22, you know, so 16 years, like my lifting history can drive now. If you're newer, then like the exciting part about that is that you can continue to snowball this shit. And like, things like habit stacking and all of that are going to really support the shitty perimenopause feels, because like when I made the reel I was talking about, I did like I was in that place yesterday very much where I was like, my body just, I had not had too much caffeine. I felt like I felt like I was going to pass out. My body felt beat up. Like I had been just like somebody had stoned me or something like that. Everything hurt. And then I started thinking about it. No, hold on. And it was like, okay, well, I haven't gone for a walk outside like in a week. I have lifted, but did I rest well that night? Not really. My water intake has been shit, but I'm getting my protein. Hold on, baby. And so figuring out like, okay, well, where can I shore those things up? And then if we check those basics of human existence, then from there, do we need to do more serious things? And so if you're in a place where you're like, okay, but I am taking the supplements, I am getting my workouts in, and I'm not seeing the results I want, and I'm struggling with perimenopause and stuff like that, then like, okay, but are we making sure we slept well before we go into that big workout? Because at a certain point, if you are just beating yourself up and never recovering from it, like then you're just beating yourself up. It's not going to get better. And so you have to take the advice that you hear and things like that. Like you have to seriously look at your life and figure out where that advice is relevant, because there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of people like to like I'll get sent somebody off of YouTube or off of social media, and they'll be like, well, this person is saying this and this is what they've done. I'm like, but do you have the same life as them? Because even for Danika and I, with like similar exercise histories, we've both got kids, like our husbands have busy jobs and stuff like that, but for me to say that my life is like Danika's or Danika's is like mine would be fucking crazy. You have to be a single mom a whole lot. You have to navigate fucking type 1 diabetes on top of all of that, like you, and it goes different ways, you know. And so you have to say like what's going to work for you might not work for me, or like the way that we experience it. And my big takeaway that I would say for women with all of this is go to the fucking doctor and be a woman about it. Be fucking loud. Take up space. Demand answers. They work for you. You pay their fucking bills. Make them do the things that you want. And if you need somewhere that you can go, like Life Extension, first of all, if you haven't figured that out, go to lifeextension.com, order your own lab work. What were you going to say? I'll shut up.
Yeah, no. Go there. But also, if you want to, if this is like a hormone thing, you can also go on like menopause.org, like www.menopause.org, and find providers in your area that have been educated or certified to like they're equipped in perimenopause or postmenopause.
Yeah, because your OB might not cut it. Depending on what they're focusing on there. And then the thing I always tell people is if you can get a facial at the same place you're getting your HRT, go somewhere else probably. Like that makes me nervous when I have clients and they'll be like, well, I did go to that health spa and like had they, I told them what my problems were. And today we're starting progesterone, testosterone, estrogen. And then they also wanted me to do this other thing. And I'm like, whoa. And they're like, and 4 different peptides. And then I'm going to go once a week to get an IV drip. And I'm like, but how the fuck are we going to figure out what worked?
Yeah.
And so
that's not okay.
And I've had it happen first, like to family members and to clients where there's more than one thing at once. And I'm like, oh my God. Be discerning and do the actual work. And when I say that, like Danika didn't say, go to this wellness influencer's website who has, she went through perimenopause and now she can tell you what they need to do. Menopause.org for a collection of doctors who their hands are in it. And like, we live in a fucking wild world right now where like either people are really mad at doctors or they're really happy with them. And like, do I trust all the doctors? No. But do I think that people who went to be doctors and took an oath to do no harm are out there trying to purposely fuck people over? No, I don't think so. I do think that they have very short appointment slots that they're allowed to do because of insurance. That's where sometimes these companies like MIDI or I work with one called Advanced Vitality that does all of mine with stuff, and mine's like $150 a month, and that covers my testosterone and the lab work and all of that kind of stuff and the conversations, and they're always like an hour long where we go like deep into stuff. And so like you have to advocate for yourself in this world, because we're finding out more and more just how terrible the research has been for women and like the lack of it. And so like they're learning alongside of us, but if you keep things to yourself and you don't say it during your appointments and they don't get written down and put in charts, they're going to continue thinking that we have nothing going on and that everything's perfectly normal.
Right. And I would also say to women too, like, if you are told, oh, you are too young, that's like a huge red flag for me, because you know your body so well. Trust your instinct. If you're feeling off, if out of nowhere the life that you created has been going so well, and like there aren't huge external changes and pressures and stressors, and you just feel not like yourself, like you're not too young. Like this isn't, I think that is an old school mentality, and getting ahead of it is really, really important. Being proactive, getting ahead of it, being your own advocate, speaking up when things don't feel right, and supporting yourself in the best way that you can, like mind and body. And then still setting really cool goals. Like I didn't go through this. I wasn't like, Christina, here I am going through perimenopause. I don't know if this is even possible, but let's try to hit this goal. Like, I was like, no, bitch. Like, these are my goals. This is what I want to do. Let's get after it. Like, let's do this and also be mindful of it. I wasn't like slam me into the ground. I was like, here's what's manageable. I'm smarter than I believe myself to be sometimes. Like, I know how to adapt to certain things and be able to trust yourself along the way. I think that sometimes we don't get into your own way when it comes to your goals. Just be really mindful about the season of life that you're in. Don't be a fool, but also don't look at your season of life and be like, well, I guess in this season of life, I'm just supposed to do nothing. Like, no. Become aware, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, how boring if at this point in our life, which I mean, the crazy part is if you look at like life expectancy, we're like at midlife kind of, you know. I mean, we called her baby grandma. So I use 97 as my life expectancy. I'm a competitive person, so I better beat her. And I have an aunt, a great aunt somewhere like far off in my tree who lived to 104. So I'm like, you guys will have to deal with me for a while. But like, what if we were to just at that point we're done? Like nothing interesting happens from here on out. Like, excuse me. Like I have things to accomplish, and people prove wrong. Like,
no way.
And you know, I know you have to go soon, so this will be the last thing I say. Going on your note about being too young, and this goes back to like what they don't pay attention to with trends and like stuff like that. So they're again, like in the news, they've been talking about how girls are starting puberty and like stuff like that younger, right? Well, a lot of that, if you look at history and everything, has to do with food availability and the amount of work their tiny bodies are having to do. So 100 years ago, food availability was not the way it is now, and their little bodies were having to do a lot more. They had like fucking jobs and stuff like that. And so now we have children's bodies who are allowed to just flourish for the most part. We're just like, what do you need? Like they carry water with them everywhere now. Like even we didn't carry water. Like what? It was drink from a hose. Like we didn't have like our personal Stanley that was prepped with like child electro and shit like that. no wonder their bodies are able to do things that like we look at and we're like, wait, that's wrong. But if you look at the anthropological background and things, it's simply that we're providing really well for them. And so, and then, you know, you ovulate, you drop an egg, when you run out, you go into menopause. So if we're starting our periods earlier, we're going to run out of periods earlier. And so it makes sense. And so the idea for them to be like, well, you're too young, and then you have to look at when did you start? Like, when did your periods happen and things like that. So yes, when it comes to that answer, it's outrageously frustrating, and that's just medical gaslighting, and we probably need a new doctor. Now, not everybody can do that and choose a new one. And so then that's where the onus falls on you to fight for yourself and like treat yourself as your child. And like, think about that. What would you tell your daughter to do in that situation? Sucks to be you? I highly doubt it. I think that you would be like, I will go to the end of the earth to find an answer for you to feel good about yourself again. And you can do the same thing for you. And also, like, I cannot think of a better time for you to try and feel like the absolute badass that you were born to be. Like, we all get to be that person, and you can find that for you.
Right. 100%. I feel like there needs to be a part 2 on this.
Okay, and we will actually do that because we always say we're going to, and then we forget.
I know, let's actually do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So part 2, I will I'll try to look for some more information from Stacy Sims, and I already forgot that doctor's name. I don't know why her name cannot stay in my brain.
Well, Claire is another one, right? Dr. Claire, Mary Claire.
Yes, I've heard that one. Oh, Vonda Wright. That's the other one. So we'll dive into more. And then I have a client who heard me mention about GLP-1s and how because of clients and friends, I've been learning more and things like that. And her husband's a pharmacist, and she said that he would be willing to like answer our questions and like dive into things. And so I thought that was kind of exciting too.
That is, yeah.
So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. And then I also want to make sure we're having more variety and like conversations like that. So if you listen and you have shit we should know, like, we're here to soak up as much information and experiences and things like that, because like in the end, this is supposed to be our little community and we want to hang out with you guys. And that means some back and forth. So we're here if you have ideas or something to say.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, Danika's got to run and get the kids, and I'm holding her up because I talk too much. So we will talk to you soon. Bye.